Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd just do a quick final look at this Sony C20 Betamax. Just to say that it is, as I confirmed, it is beyond really repairing it. I have actually tracked down what I think is wrong with it, and it's not worth. It really is not worth pursuing any further. I didn't think it really was with the amount of corrosion on this machine, but I thought we'd give it a go. In fact, I've got my lighting sight at a different place, so you might be able to see it a bit better, because I did actually noticed on the previous video when I've actually played it back, it is a little bit on the dark side. As you can actually see quite how corroded this side of it really is now in this, and basically, I went through. I have had some difficulty finding the actual service date of this, despite what I said. The site does indeed have the service data for this particular model, and it's zipped down using RAR, so it's a .rar file. And unfortunately, there's a part 1 and a part 2 to the file, and the part 2 has disappeared. So I've only got half the RAR file for the service data for this machine. I do have the service data for the slightly earlier machine, which uses a lot of the same electronic components. It was more on the mechanical side that they changed it somewhat. That was the Sony C9. So the C20 is it's basically a cost-reduced version of the Sony C9. And basically, like I said, I did pull up a lot of the common faults on these. And the first thing it actually says in a no power situation, obviously after you've done the obvious checks in the power supply, is to check for which is known as IC001, and that is located up here on the clock board. Now the problem being that all this is in way of actually gaining access to that, and that's the first issue that I had. I managed to get 3 of the screws. Amazingly, even that one there did unscrew. Them 2 undid. This one at the back here, it's so corroded I could not get the screw to undo, and trying, I actually broke the corner off the board there. I mean, that wouldn't be the end of the world. All it's broken off is one ground link there, and we do actually it's a loop all the way around the board, so it's still got continuity, and I could easily just bridge that, so that's not a major issue. But anyway, I managed to get that board out of the way, and basically the IC101 is that big it's like a big monolithic IC there with the staggered pins on it, bit like you see some of the is it the video RAM in Sega Mega Drives. You know, they've got basically they've got 2 rows of pins staggered up and down like that. The chip is available. It's about £17, so obviously it's not worth spending £17 on this machine. But basically, I've got the correct supply voltage going into that IC, but I've not got anything really coming out of it. And after the machine's been powered up for a minute or 2, that chip gets too hot to touch. So we could pretty much say that that IC001 there, which basically is to do with generating the clock and the timer and everything like that on the VCR. And without that working, basically none of the functions on the VCR will work. You have to have that chip going for the rest of the machine to be able to really do anything. I mean, I have no doubt we could bypass things and get bits to power up, but we couldn't get the machine to actually function really the way it should without that IC there. So I'm wondering actually if that's why this machine was retired. That blew, the machine went completely dead, and it was put away to be looked at, and basically just never ever got looked at, and it just rusted away in a shed. It's a shame really, because I mean, if it had been kept, you know, in slightly better conditions and it wasn't this rusty, I would and ah and consider about perhaps trying to find the IC to replace that with. But with the state of the rest of the machine, it is just a parts machine now. Like I said, there are parts on it which I can use. One other slight bit of bad news though is I did actually go out and dig out my let me just stick the top on this. I did actually go and dig out my my C30 machine. Get it out of the way like that. Oops. Well, nothing important. Unfortunately, I have made a bit of a mistake. It is a Sony. It is a 30, but this is the later SL-F30, not a C30. It's a fantastic machine. Like I said, being the 30 rather than the 20, it's got I don't actually have the remote for it, but it does have remote capability on it. It's a super nice slimline machine. This came out in 1984. The C20 underneath came out in 1983, so we've got a clear year later in the F30. Like I said, this is a yes, it's the SL-F30, as where that is an SL-C20, and you have the C30, which is what I thought that was, but said unfortunately it's not. It's the F series, not the C series. However, I do believe there are parts that are still compatible between the actual two machines. In fact, let's just whip the top off this. I have a feeling that the power supply, like I said, this machine is completely dead. Let's get this scrapper out of the way. I must admit, considering that this is a smaller, lighter machine, it ain't much bloody lighter. It's, you know, about an inch. It's about the same width across, but it's about an inch shallower. But it doesn't feel an inch shallower, lighter, if you know what I mean. It's still a bloody heavy machine. And that was something else dropping off my desk. Fortunately, nothing important. But yeah. Let's have a quick look inside this, because I've never actually took the lid off this. So I got it years ago, and this is what it had on it when I got it. It says "keep to be repaired." It actually came from a television studio, this, and that had closed down. It was out of their old archive room, so I think it's what they used if they come across any old Betamax tapes and they needed to see what was on them. Obviously, when the studio closed, they mustn't have wanted it, but they obviously had kept it because it had that slapped across the top of it. I think I did try plugging it in back then, and it didn't do anything. It was completely dead, and it was such a nice machine that I just put it into storage and thought I'll do something with that one day. So I suppose this might be the one. Well, not today, but in the near future, this might be on the projects list. So I have a feeling that the power supply, even though the machine is completely different, I have got a feeling that the power supply is the same. Let's have a look in here. Oh, and we've also got this one's got a tape in it as well. So let's have a quick look at the power supply. Yeah. I will say that the power supply does look exactly the same actually. We've got 1, 2, 3. Got some coming off that. We've got the 2 pin there. That's the same on the other one. Got the mains fuse up there. Got a fuse there, fuse there. I think it should be another one. Another one down. Oh no, it is slightly different actually. It is slightly different. You've got mains fuse there, one fuse on that side there, and then the 2 other fuses are up there. But the connections on this side do look the same. It might just be a slightly different, basically revision of the same power supply. The transformer looks exactly the same. So if we've got a bad transformer in this, we might be able to use the transformer out of the other one. I'm presuming like the regulator ICs and most of the ICs used in this, if it's not exactly the same, are the same. That bridge looks exactly the same back there. It looks in really nice clean condition, this machine, so we should, like I said, we should in a future video possibly I'll do something with this one and see if we can get this machine to play. So this one, this has always been kept in good conditions. Like I said, it was in the storeroom of a television studio when I got hold of it, and I've always kept it in dry storage, so it's not got damp in my possession. So I'm quite hopeful this will make a good repair. Just put the last screws in it. So it is again, it's the basic machines, these. It's not got stereo on it. It's not got. Did any of the Betamax have twin speed on them? I think some of the very last ones may have had twin speed on them. When did they actually phase out Betamax for domestic? I know it went on far longer in commercial circles, but it was in the mid-80s, weren't it, when they phased out Betamax? Stopped really selling the machines in the domestic market. Ooh, sugar. There's my lamp gone. Let's move it back up there because the wire keeps catching on it. But yeah, I mean, it's fairly simple. We've got AV, we've got video in, video out, audio in, audio out, and that's your RF for your tune it into a TV. So you can get an RF modulated signal out of there, and obviously you plug your aerial in on the aerial in on the other side. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. Anyway, this was just a quick video to say, you know, I have at least found out what was wrong with that C20 machine, and it really isn't really worth pursuing any further, but there are parts on it that may just allow us to get this this F30 machine up and running. So really, actually, it is a nicer machine. I believe these were actually a cost reduced still version of the C20, which was a cost reduced version of the C9. Anyone that's more into Betamax videos than me, or if I'm wrong with that, do correct me, but that's as far as I'm aware, that's how it really went. The C9 came, then they made a cost reduced version of it, which was the C20 in that series, and then again they made a cost reduced version yet again, which I think they made the deck a little bit more incorporated and amalgamated. I think the electronics are again very similar. But that was then called the F20 and the F30. And I said this being the F30. I believe there was an F35 and an F40. I'm not sure about the F35, but I think the F40 was the all singing, all dancing one. It had linear stereo, remote control, and everything on it. But this is what I've got anyway. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed that little update and ramble. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.